Coronation Street spoilers for next week. Bethany is left fighting for her life after a surgery goes wrong abroad and Billy faces more heartache after Paul's death. Mason returns but is quickly attacked and Hope's vaping habit is revealed, much to the horror of Tyrone and Fizz. Having returned home from visiting Daisy, Daniel takes a call from a Turkish number. Daniel finds out Bethany is in intensive care, leaving him horrified. He then breaks the news to Sarah, insisting they need to go to Turkey immediately. Whilst frantically packing a bag for Turkey, Sarah notices her passport has expired. Joel approaches Dee with their wedding rings, declaring that he still loves her and that the rings are a reminder of everything he's lost. As Dee recoils, Ed and Ronnie step in. Will they take the law into their own hands? Bernie and Billy are still clashing about the details of Paul's funeral. So Gemma suggests letting Bernie do it Billy's way. She then proposes they organize their own send-off for Paul afterwards. The pair come up with a plan to throw a rave. How will Billy react? Roy calls at the hospital on his way to a train fare to check on Lauren. Roy finds Lauren in tears, explaining that Frankie is having a scan to check for any brain damage. She later confides in Dee that she's been following Joel on a tracker app and he's spent considerable time in a field, then an industrial park, and to top it off, he transferred £5,000 into her account without an explanation. What is Joel up to? Daniel is warned that Bethany's infection is severe. He then tells Sarah that due to issues with travel insurance, Bethany can't leave the country until her medical bills are paid. As Bethany regains consciousness, Sarah has to break some life-changing news. Garrett confronts Mason. Dylan begs Betsy to come clean about planting the purse on Mason, but she refuses. He returns home and confesses to Sean that Mason didn't steal the customer's purse, it was Betsy. Later on, Betsy, Dylan and Mason discuss the news of Mason's release just as Mason appears. Having received a message from Liam, Gary charges in, grabs Mason and pins him against the wall. Stu then arrives and pulls Gary off. Stu apologizes to Mason for not believing him and offers him his job back. Is this a fresh start for Mason? 7. Billy faces more heartache after Paul's death. With the planning underway for Paul's memorial rave, Gemma points out that Kid has yet to confirm if they can close the street. Later on, Billy's gutted to realize that Paul's funeral falls on what would have been their first wedding anniversary. Dee tells Ed and Ronnie that today should have been her wedding day. Alone in his flat, Joel opens his notebook and writes a letter. Finding Roy alone, Joel stumbles into the cafe clutching a bottle of whiskey, clearly drunk, and locks the door behind him. Is Roy in danger? After confiding in Daisy, Daniel hatches a plan to set up a crowdfunding page to pay for Bethany's £25,000 medical fees. However, Bethany takes a turn for the worse when Sarah finds her in a terrible state and barely able to breathe. Mason arrives for work sporting a black eye, making out that he hit his head. Will Stu and Yasmin believe him? Maria and Gary are furious to realize that Mason's got his job back. Mason later sneaks back into the closed restaurant and unrolls his sleeping bag. Fizz and Tyrone settle down to celebrate Fizz's 40th birthday at the bistro. Tyrone then receives a text from the school, with Hope's secret vaping habit being revealed. After being lectured on the harmful effects of vaping by Fizz and Tyrone, Hope isn't interested in listening. She later steals some vapes from the corner shop. When leaving the shop, Hope knocks some vapes off the shelf. Noticing the vapes on the floor, Audie's interest has peaked.